guys, and welcome back to the 315 Sports Podcast. Today, we are joined by special guest Tanner Gunn. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm a big fan.
No problem. We
Yes,
knew
sir.
you were a big fan, so we had to get you on here. Today, we are doing NFL post-draft power rankings. Yesterday, we did NFL draft grades, and today the NFL released a power ranking of their own, so we're going to go through ours. Everyone made theirs. I combined everyone's score for each team, divided it by the five of us, and got their average. And I have the list in front of me. I'm also going to read out who put them the highest and the lowest at pretty much each spot. And we can debate if we would like to. So, it's pretty obvious. The Jags came in at number 32. Redskins come in at 31. 30 was the Bengals. Steve and myself had him at 27, while Tanner had him the lowest at 31. If there's any debate about that, is there?
All these teams suck dick, so it doesn't really matter.
There's not much to say here. All right, next up we have the Lions coming in at 29. Highest someone put him was Tarky at 27, and lowest someone put him was 30, which was myself. We have the Panthers coming in at 28. The highest someone put him was Steve at 26, and Tarky put him at 31. Tarky, would you like to talk about why you think they're going to be the second worst team in the league?
They lost a lot on defense. I know they got Derek Brown in the draft, and he'll help plug the middle right away. But I just think they're 100% in a rebuilding stage. And you know how I feel about Matt Rule. I think he is a complete fraud, and I think that he is going to get severely outcoached at the next level. And yeah, he can stop piggybacking off of the success of the recruiting classes of the people before him, because it's the NFL.
I'll give you some credit because that argument is pretty valid. I'm not going to discredit that, but I feel like Matt Rule is not a good coach, and I don't think he'll do well. So I'm not going to disagree with that far. But 31, man, that's pretty. You're really saying that they're going to be maybe the worst team in the league at 31. I don't think they're because Christian McCaffrey's most skilled back in the league. The defense isn't necessarily bad. They
went all defense in the draft. They went 7 for 7
roster because they do. They like you said, they do have pieces on the roster, but their talent isn't overwhelming. And I think just it's a brand new year. It's a new slate. Matt Rule's he's going to have to adjust the NFL anyway, but he's kind of in over his head to begin with, I think. And I think they're just going to have a lot of growing pains this year. I don't think they're going to.
I think they're also in a very difficult division right now too. Those quarterbacks. Obviously Teddy Bridgewater isn't bad. He went 5-0 with the Saints last year. He has some good weapons there. I would have liked to see him take Simmons. I think that would have elevated the defense. Probably that's the new Luke Kuechly replacement there.
Next up at 27, we have the Giants. Tarky put him the highest at 25, and me and Tanner put him at 29. So everyone thinks they're going to be around that. At 26, we have the Oakland Raiders.
Ooh.
So Gib put him the highest at 20, and Steve is the one who put him at 30. So if you guys want to talk about why you guys got a 10 difference, everyone else, me, Tarky, and Tanner, pretty much put them around that 26 area, I'm pretty sure. So if Gib and Steve want to –
Yeah, I'll start it off. I think the Raiders are in a – they're in a hard division to begin with. I think they're – I think they're better than San Diego, flat out. I think they're better than the Chargers, not San Diego. Their quarterback is obviously a position of concern, but Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota are both better than Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert will be, in my opinion. They won 7 games last year. They added Corey Littleton, who I think is going to be a huge part of their defense because they needed linebacker help, and he's been a tackling machine in LA for the last 2 years for the Rams. 20, I have them at 20, but I can see, putting them 25, 24, 23, 26. But 30, they're far better than the Jags, Redskins, Bengals, Lions, Panthers, and Giants, in my opinion. I don't really think that's up for much debate.
And I agree they improved, but I think this is one of the years in the offseason that a lot of bad teams improved. I think the Lions are still a better football team than the Raiders. That's my opinion. The Raiders could easily win more games. That's just the way I look at it.
I have them ahead of the Bears, Jets, Browns, and Cardinals. And, I think that all those teams, you can jumble them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel like –
I think what are you talking about? Like, let me hear what you have to say. You're disagreeing with me.
I would completely disagree. I think the Raiders have no direction in what they're doing, to be honest.
That's why the reason the Raiders have no direction.
What do you – the Raiders, how do they have no direction? They completely trashed their roster from 2 years ago to this year. They went from winning like 4 games to winning 7 games. The only thing they don't have is they don't know who their franchise quarterback is going to be. It's an opinion thing, but the fact that Tarky says that they have no direction in the franchise is completely false, in my opinion.
I think Gruden has a plan. I don't know if it's the right plan.
They literally completely trashed their whole roster from 3 years ago to where it is today.
Yes,
I don't agree with the plan. He traded Khalil
I don't necessarily have
Mack
to agree with it, but
basically Josh Jacobs and Damon Arnett.
They have direction.
They do.
I don't understand in which way they're trying to rebuild.
Well, I mean, now we can move on because right after them is the Bears, the team we've kind of been talking about. The highest someone had them was 19. Tarky had him at 19, and myself had him the lowest of anyone at 26. So
I really like that their defense is awesome. They have pieces on offense, and the only thing that was holding back last year was Mr. Trubisky. He played awful, and they addressed that in the offseason by getting Nick Foles, who I think could come in there and have success with pieces.
Nick Foles was awful in Jacksonville.
Yeah, Nick Foles was the benefit of being on a good Eagles team with a good O-line, good weapons. I hated him in Jacksonville. I don't think he'll do very much better with the Bears.
My ranking is based on the idea that Nick Foles is going to start a quarterback. If he does not start the Bears, where do you guys have?
at 24 is the Dolphins, and at 23 is the Chargers. Everyone basically had them around there. No one put them significantly higher or lower.
I think they're both good spots for, a rookie quarterback in Tua and Herbert. I don't know. I think he's good spots for him.
Yeah. I like him better than the Dolphins, but I think the Dolphins are moving in a better direction.
True.
We have the Jets. The highest someone put them was Steve at 19. And would you look at that? The lowest someone put them was 26, Tarky.
I mean, again, like the Jets are the Jets. I mean, they're not going to win a lot of games, but they won 7 games last year, and their roster was shit, and Sam Darnold had mono for 5 weeks and saw ghosts against New England.
Exactly. You said it right there. Like we said, like they're a 7-win team last year with Sam Darnold hurt for games with a bad O-line. They improved upon the O-line free agency in Becton and in the draft. I think they improved. I love their defense. They have a good defense. It's a great run defense. Jamal Adams plays. They consistently consistently battle with the Patriots when they were well. Like my thing is with the Jets. Yeah. Last year was just it was a mess, but they had the right pieces and a good plan.
Last year was a mess. Yeah, I agree.
Last year's a mess, and I think this year, if guys can stay healthy, they could be like an 8-win team, maybe even 9-win team, depending on their schedule.
Me putting him at 26 gives you my feelings on Darnold. I think that just overall defensively, you're right. They are very good on defense, but on offense, I think they're just a little too young to even make. Like Sam Darnold really doesn't have any weapons to throw to. Denzel Mims, I like Mims a lot, but he's way too raw right now to come in here and be a number 2 wide receiver on a young Jets team. The offensive line, you're right, they got Becton, so I mean it should improve, but he's also very young, and I don't know. I just think now's not their year for them to make an impact, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you saying that, but I just don't. I mean, I think they're better than the Dolphins right now because I think that.
My thought process on that was that they're both in the same division, and to be honest, I like the Jets right now. And
the Dolphins, but in a year from now, once Tua steps on the field for Miami, they're better than the Jets.
Yeah, probably. I really don't like Adam Gase in New York either. I don't think he should have been hired.
He's a good coach, but Greg Williams is a good defensive coordinator, and I think he's the reason why they won probably some of their games last year. I think Adam Gase is a jackass.
Yeah.
All right, at 21, we have the Patriots.
Wow.
The highest someone put them was Gibb at 17, and me, myself, put them at 25, which is why we got around this 21 number. I'll start off just by saying they lost a lot this free agency, highlighted by Brady, but there's more than that. They lost offensive linemen, some players on defense, as well as I don't think they improved in the draft at all. Their quarterback right now is still Stidham.
Tom Brady had no help out there last year. Only Julian Edelman and James White out of the backfield, and they didn't address any of those positions. So even the best to do it couldn't do it there. So
yeah, like I completely, Tigana, you're right on it, man. You nailed it. And the only thing is, I don't Also, I already said this in the previous video, but I don't understand how they showed this offseason in any way, shape, or form they're trying to win now. Like, it seems like they're trying to build some young pieces around the Belichick believes in for the future, but this doesn't seem like a team that wants to compete now. And
At 20, we have the Falcons. I had them the highest of anyone at 16. Steve had them at 21. I just had them at 16 just because, obviously they are going to somewhat compete for second in their division. In my mind, like they're not going to get second, but they're at least going to compete for it. I think they have a very talented roster. Obviously,
I don't think that's a bad take. I just saying my thing is for 21. I don't think I think Matt Ryan had a good year last year. I don't think, like you said, I don't think they added enough on defense. I think Gurley's a good pickup. The injury question marks are huge on him. Last year, the Rams, we just couldn't tell where he was at. Just seemed like he was hurt for like a majority of the year. So if it's a healthy Todd Gurley, then yeah, they're gonna move the rock pretty well, and the defense might even be able to catch up if the offense can get moving. But I feel like Matt Ryan can move the ball really well last year. He had, really had a decent year. Julio Jones, like he has the weapons. And last year, they did pretty. I don't want to say they underperformed, but they just didn't play well.
At 19 was the Rams. At 18 was the Broncos.
My only thing on the Broncos is I believe in the Broncos. Like I don't know how much I believe in the Broncos, but I kind of have faith in that team. I think they have a good run game. I'm starting to buy in more. Like when we were doing the over/under, I heard the Broncos. I'm like, dude, the Broncos. Like, all right, they have a good defense, but come on. But the more I looked into it before we did the power rankings, I think they're building a team that has a brighter future than some of these teams around this pack right now. Like I kind of like the Dolphins direction, but I really like the Broncos direction. I think Drew Lock's not a bad quarterback. I think he can make plays. I love the backfield now with Gordon, with Phil Lindsay. They can run the ball. Their O-line is like mediocre, but they can. If they have two talented backs, you can move the ball well. You go out, you get some targets for Drew Lock to throw the ball to. Then their defense is already good. If they can put together an offense, this could be a 9-win team.
Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, I think, was extremely underrated. He's really good too. And Drew Lock, I already loved, and with Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay, I think they're just trying to match the firepower of the Chiefs, and obviously they're not going to do this.
The reason why their offense wasn't good was because Todd Gurley wasn't healthy, and they drafted Cam Akers, who I think Cam Akers is a great running back. I think he played behind horrible offensive lines at Florida State and horrible coaching at Florida State. I think he can come in and not fill the shoes of Gurley, because I don't think anyone could ever fill the shoes of what Todd Gurley did for the 2 or 3 years when he was the pretty much consensus best running back in the NFL. But I don't think losing Brandon Cooks is as big a deal as people make it out to be. He had like 500 receiving yards last year, was hurt, and had a stupid, dumb contract that they got rid of. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Josh Reynolds isn't a bad wide receiving core whatsoever.
They're kind of strapped for cash right now with not a lot of picks.
I think the Rams are going to be average for the next couple of years, but they're going to get their first-round picks back. I think Sean McVay's a good coach. He'll figure it out. And I wouldn't be surprised in another 2 years if the Rams are right back, not to maybe going to the Super Bowl, but competing for the division in the playoffs year in and year out.
Yeah, I think one small thing, I think Aaron Donald also had a little bit of a down year last year, but that's also coming off of one of the best defensive years of all time.
And a down year for Aaron Donald was still like 8 to 10 sacks. I don't know how many sacks he had, but he was still he's getting double teamed every play. They lost the Ndamukong Suh. They lost the other big guy in the middle, and he's getting double teamed every play. And still, if you check, I think Pro Football Focus, like his pressure rate was still the highest in the NFL. He just didn't have as many sacks or tackles for losses.
He'll be back. They're going to fix the scheme a little bit more and make him a little bit more of some more twists and have him do some different stunts and stuff.
And
at 17, we have the Browns. The highest someone put him was Tarky at 14, and Gibb put him at 22. So once again, you guys can speak on that.
Yeah, so I'm a Steelers fan, so I don't like the Browns to begin with. Last year they had all the hype in the world, and they went 6-10. I don't think Baker Mayfield is right for them. I think he's better than whatever else they could have at this point. I don't think he's the guy. I wouldn't be surprised if Odell is gone before the season starts. They lost Joe Schobert, though, in the middle of the field. They add Grant Delpit, but Delpit had his tackling issues at LSU. I'm a big fan of Delpit, but he had tackling issues at LSU, which is why he slid to them in the second round. Greedy Williams didn't play well for them last year. Denzel Ward took a step back last year. Demarius Randall is no longer a Cleveland Brown. They lost a lot. So, I don't know. Nick Chubb's a beast. Kareem Hunt's good. Jarvis Landry's good. But, again, the Browns are the Browns. I'm not gonna let them, the hype, again, take over.
Because on paper, their rosters –
I know their roster's unbelievable.
So talented. And, I think the offensive line, you overblew it a little bit because they did sign Jack Conklin in the offseason.
Yeah, but, Jack Conklin is, he's an average offensive lineman.
That's true.
I don't know. I think they'll take a step forward for sure.
I don't think it's going to transform them. Like they need to, if they figure out offensive identity, they could be a 10-win team.
Yeah.
If they don't figure it out, they could be back to 6-7 wins. It's literally that simple.
I think your take on Odell's a little overblown because as a Giants fan, I hate Odell, but I think he just wants to win. And if
No, I know he wants to. No, trust me. I know he wants to win.
Problem is that he does want to win, and that if the Browns can't put it together this season with the amount of hype they got,
I think.
Yeah, no, but if your point is that he's not going to get the ball enough. I mean, but you said they'd win games running the ball more. That doesn't.
That's why.
No, I understand that, but like Odell, so obviously the Browns should be running the ball more, but you need to feed Odell when you throw the ball. I mean, you need to feed Odell the ball. He's probably the most talented receiver in the NFL.
We'll move on to 16. This is one I've been waiting for. At 16, we have the Cardinals, and the highest someone put them was 9, Tarky. And the lowest someone put them was Gib at 21. You can go ahead and talk about why they're the 9th best team in the league.
Well, first off, I already love the pieces they had at the end of last season, and I think they had a fantastic offseason and a great offseason. I mean, and I just love – I believe in Kyler Murray. How is that laughable?
Right. Yes, it's laughable, but keep going. Go ahead. Top 5 of fucking.
So Tarky, as you know, are you done? Or you want to keep? Are you still going?
They added Hopkins
to
go along with Larry Fitzgerald, who's an unbelievable veteran receiver, and then you have Christian Kirk and Andy Isabella, all the wide receivers they drafted from the draft prior. They're young. They're only getting better. They have Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds. When he got playing time last year after, they had the running back issues, he stepped up and played well. I love their direction, and I think that offense is going to take over the NFL.
All right, really quickly before get in. So they won 5 games last year. Yes, they were close. They had a lot of close games. Probably like we talked about before, they're one of the teams that had a ton of close games, especially at the end of the season. And you're saying that this offseason additions and what's going to happen. I'm not necessarily arguing it too much, but that's going to double their win total from the previous season.
I could see them winning 10 games. Yeah.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Gib.
Their division got weaker. They got astronomically better. They're only progressing forward. Cliff King's out. I think, as much as you want to say, I know he didn't win at Texas Tech or whatever.
No, I think he's a great coach.
In the NFL, when the talent's even and it's not about recruiting, I think that his system is going to take over the NFL because, I don't know, the Big 12.
All right. So, again, the Cardinals I like the direction the Cardinals are going. I'm a fan of Kyler Murray. I mean, Chandler Jones went to Syracuse, and he plays for Arizona, and he's like the best. He's one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. But I just think that defense just isn't. It's definitely coming. It's Isaiah Simmons is a huge piece for that defense.
To address all the levels, they got a guy who can address.
Yeah, and Pat Pete is still a top 10 cornerback. But
from last year, where they took at first.
Oh, Byron Murphy, yeah.
Byron Murphy's
he's only going to
good,
get better. It's only going to get better. But I just don't. I mean, 21 might be low. But 9 is too. I think that's too high. Like,
all right, really quickly. After September 22nd, including that game against the Panthers, the Cardinals defense did not let up anything under 22 points the entire season, including 5 30-point games. So
yeah, I'm more excited about their defense than their offense. Personally, I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be a beast in a year or two. An underrated signing for them was Jordan Phillips. They already had Jordan Hicks. They added Devondre Campbell and Devon Kennard. And Budda Baker's a solid safety.
Yeah, I forgot they have Budda Baker too. I don't know. I just don't like what Steve said. I think going from 5 wins, because if they're top 10, you're expecting them to win 10 to 11 games.
10 games at least.
Yeah. Like winning 5 more games in the NFL, even if you lose a lot of close games, is a hard thing to do. And I think, like Steve said, I don't think this is their year. I think next year is their year.
I mean, I just think overall their division has gotten worse.
I mean, San Francisco.
I think they're the only one in their divisions that have gotten better. And I think they've gotten astronomically better this offseason.
But the 49ers and Seahawks were both already top 10 teams.
I think both of them got worse.
I don't think the 49ers got much. I mean, obviously they lost Buckner, but they just replaced Buckner with a younger, cheaper Buckner and Kinlaw.
Yep.
And they already have a stacked defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Armstead and Solomon Thomas, Steve Ford, Nick Bosa. Thomas, Armstead, and Bosa were all top 10 picks, at their time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I mean, the Cardinals, lost 2 games they should have won versus 49ers last year. They were giving them absolute fits. The best defense in the league.
No, Tarky, I'm not disagreeing with you that the Cardinals are – I mean, 21 – I concede that 21 is a little too low, but I think 9 is –
My ranking is obviously they're unproven, and I understand that. So putting them above proven teams, which we'll obviously get to, is I understand that that's a little –
Yeah. No, but I understand where you're coming from. And I think that, like I said, the Cardinals they're on the verge of, like, I think I was a huge fan of Cliff Kingsbury in college. He coached Patrick Mahomes, and Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. And I think you're right. Texas Tech didn't get the recruits that everyone else got. And now that talent, finally the Cardinals are elevating talent, I think his system's either going to work or it's not going to work. It's just going to come down to one of those two things. And I think it's going to work.
I could see it being a similar situation to the Browns last year in that they get all the hype, but it's still a young quarterback. Not all the pieces are quite meshed yet, and then it kind of falls apart early.
Well, I'll say Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield are on 2 different levels.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's –
That is true. That is true.
And off the field as leaders.
That is very true.
All right, we got to move on. Although at 15, everyone basically put the Texans around here, so I don't know if there's much to talk about. Obviously, the Texans got worse. They're no longer going to be a top 10 team in all of our opinions, clearly. They still have Watson, but they lost Hopkins, had a bad draft. J.J. Watt's a year older, still risk of injury. Obviously, they lost Clowney last season, everything like that. So, yeah, we had him at 15. At 14, we have the Colts. At 14, we have the Colts. The highest someone put him was myself, obviously, Colts fan at 9. Tanner put him at 16. I'm pretty sure everyone else had him at 14 or 15. I was talking to Steve this morning. Obviously, I'm going to highly rate my own team just because they are my own team. But I think our defense is very well improved. Veterans in TJ Carey and Xavier Rhodes on that for the DBs, only going to improve. And then you still have Kenny Moore there. Rocky Sin was a rookie last year. He'll improve. That defensive line with Buckner, Houston, and the rest of the guys, some rookies from last year are going to step up. Phillip Rivers is an upgrade from Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion. That offensive line is first or second best in the league, as well as adding Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, who are going to be 2 explosive rookies. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to compete with the Titans for the AFC South. So I had to put them in my top 10, but obviously I'm cool.
I like the Colts direction. Let me rephrase that. I like the Colts roster. Like me and Tim talked about this morning, made some good points. They're a good offensive team, good defensive team. I love a team that has a great O-line that can run the ball, that can do that. My only thing is what Phillip Rivers are we going to get this year? Is it the one that succeeded on the Chargers 2 years ago when he went off, when the O-line played a little bit better? Or is it the one with a bad O-line last year, to his credit, yes, that struggled at times? We're going to see. I think that's going to dictate a 7-8 win Colts team to a potential 9-10 win Colts team. That's just my opinion.
Well, we do have the easiest schedule in the league.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, we've started the phrase "run the damn ball." So Phillip Rivers, he's old. I think he's going to start to accept the fact that you have Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor behind the best O-line in the league, with Quentin Nelson leading the blocking. So run the damn ball. We're going to run it 30 to 40 times a game, and I think we're going to win games.
I think Ty and Marlon Mack are 2 of the most underrated wide receiver running back duos in the league too. They just haven't had the quarterback the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Ty missed 6 games last year, so.
Yeah, right.
We'll move on though.
No, hold on.
Oh,
I think the defense has the pieces, but you said TJ Carey and Xavier Rhodes. Let's keep it real here. If the secondary is your issue, Xavier Rhodes was a good cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasis on was. He played on a very good Minnesota Vikings defense, and if you're getting exposed on a very good defense, that means you're not playing well, period. And TJ Carey's bounced around from 4 different teams. If pass defense is what your weakness is, I don't really see how adding TJ Carey and Xavier Rhodes is much of an improvement, as much of try to fill in the guys for a year to see how they play and then make a decision on them the next offseason.
I think it's
Because the Colts have a good D-line. They have good linebackers. What's his name? Hooker's a good safety. And I think Kenny Moore is not a bad cornerback, but he's not a number one cornerback in my opinion. So we'll see. I think the Colts have a roster, though, just like the Browns have a roster. But the Colts have a much better coach, a much better culture, all that stuff.
Yep. We'll just list off 13 through 10 here, and we'll just give our opinions on the order. 13 is the Eagles, 12 is the Steelers, 11 is the Titans, and 10 is the Seahawks. I wasn't able to fill in who put them the highest and the lowest, but if anyone has one of those teams extremely low or higher, you can mention it right now.
Go ahead.
No, just real quickly, I would have put the Steelers a little higher, but that's just me. I had them at 10, but my first list I had them at 8. I would think Ben coming back. I don't know. I'm not a fucking Steelers fanatic like Gibbs, so I'm not going to be able to explain as much, but just watching him play against the Bills, watching the team that competed in every single game last season with two completely sorry quarterbacks, like Duck making plays, but nothing compared to Big Ben. You get that back, decent run game. You have weapons on offense, talented defense. I think that's a top 10 team. So I think that's a little low for the Steelers, but that's just my opinion.
And Mike Tomlin was on his way to Coach of the Year until they lost the last couple games there.
Yeah. So obviously I'm a Steelers fan, and obviously I have them at 9. They're returning a young defense with veteran pieces that's literally went from probably a shit defense 2 or 3 years ago that gave up 50 points to Blake Bortles in the playoffs and lost, to a defense last year that's giving Lamar Jackson fits the first time when they play the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson turns the ball over 5 times in a game. And he's, he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, or top 5. Just from when you listed off those teams, Tim, you said the 13 through 10 was Eagles, Seahawks, Steelers, and who else?
Eagles, Steelers, Titans, Seahawks.
Titans and Seahawks. Okay. So out of those teams, that means Tampa Bay's in the top 10. And I think Tampa Bay is a very good team. I think they're going to make the playoffs. But, I mean, there's still some question that because nothing's a given with them yet. Like the Steelers, you're getting on defense. You're getting a top 8 defense in the NFL with TJ Watt, who's going to have 15 sacks this year.
Probably a top 5 defense.
They lost Javon Hargrave in free agency, but Stephon Tuitt's returning from injury, and he was on his way to having a monster year last year before he got hurt. I think he had 5 sacks in the first 6 games. Cam Hayward's one of the most underappreciated interior defensive linemen in the NFL, was a first-team All-Pro last year. Minka Fitzpatrick is only going to get better. Joe Hayden and Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson gave up he had crazy coverage stats, didn't give up a single touchdown in coverage the whole year. Joe Hayden had 5 interceptions last year. Terrell Edmonds is only going to get better because he's only going to get older, and Devin Bush is only going to get better because he's only getting older too. Like this defense is a prime contender defense, but the offense is the question mark. And I think they did a lot to improve the offense. And Juju was hurt last year, and they're adding a big weapon in Chase Claypool and another weapon in Eric Ebron to only help Roethlisberger.
And Anthony McFarland's an underrated back, I think, too.
Super fast.
Yep, he's a home run hitter.
I probably have the Titans the highest at 8. I don't think you might have them any higher than that.
No, I think I had them at 7.
Yeah, I had them at 8 too.
I'm not a believer in them, but I mean, I don't think you can have them lower than that.
Yeah.
Right, they're in the AFC Championship, but I don't like Ryan Tannehill there for a full year.
But I think they did a good job in the draft addressing needs. I think the Christian Fulton. But we'll get to the Titans. I won't say anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna. So are we talking about those 3 teams right now, Tim? Or
Yeah, I mean, like we all basically had them somewhat around that area, so it's like talk about any team you want right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying for the Titans. My big thing, winning football games in the NFL proved even last year, especially with teams like 49ers, Ravens, Bills, Packers, the Vikings, those teams that do this. When you win football games with playing a good, solid, fundamental defense that makes plays and you run the football well, Titans ran through the playoffs against 2 very good teams, very good defenses. I think the Titans, if they continue the scheme, people will figure them out a little bit more. But I think they're a little bit better than people give them credit for. I think they can pass the ball better, but they just didn't need to in the playoffs. I think this is an underrated defense the entire year. They showed it in the playoffs. I like this team a lot. I think they're like I don't know. I just love I think Vrabel's a good coach, and I think he's going to figure it out. I think they'll make the playoffs again this year, so I put them at 8.
You said Eagles were in the list you said, right, Tim?
Yeah, they were at 13.
I don't know where anyone else. I had them at 16. That might be the lowest.
I have the Eagles at 13.
I had them at 11.
I had the Eagles at 14.
I had the Eagles at 11 too.
So basically, I mean, 16 to 13 really isn't that much
I
of a
don't-
difference.
Yeah, but why 16, Tark? So that's you saying they're coming out a playoff team.
They just didn't really address what needed to be addressed. I mean, their secondary was really bad last year.
They got Darius
They
Slay,
got Darius Slay.
I know, but
top 3 corner in the league.
Their wide receiving core is kind of struggle this year. Like
I don't.
They added Nickel Roby-Coleman.
I don't think it's great, but it's not going to be like it was last year. Not even going to be close.
Yeah.
There's a reason Jalen Rager got drafted in the first round. I mean, let's keep it real. We're not NFL scouts. As much as Tarky wants to say he's one, he's not an NFL scout. And they traded for Marquis. I know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Like, as much as we all think we know what we're talking about, that's not our jobs. Marquis Goodwin is veteran, can run a little bit, good pickup. And Zach Ertz is a good tight end. Maybe Arcega-Whiteside plays better than he did last year.
And there's a ton of injuries last year too.
Yeah,
and they still made the playoffs.
They're going to figure it. If they're healthy, they're going to make the playoffs. And I don't know how you could argue they won't make the playoffs if they're healthy, whether it's a wild card or even competing for the division.
I don't know if Wentz is going to be there. That's one thing. And
yeah, Wentz is injury prone, and hopefully he doesn't get. If he doesn't get hurt this year, if he gets hurt, then they're in a bad spot because I don't think Jalen Hurts can play in the NFL right away.
Carson Wentz could start to end up like Andrew Luck, where it's like he's injured every year, and his mind just like if you're him and you're injured in your first. Obviously, he wasn't injured last season until the playoffs, but still has not played in a real playoff game, full game. Like it's just gonna start getting to his head if he keeps getting injured. So I as a fan of the NFL, I hope he doesn't get injured. I think he's a very good quarterback.
Yeah, but if Wentz is healthy and this team's healthy with the addition of Darius Slay and everything they went through adversity-wise last year, they have to be a playoff team.
Yeah, they can win the division.
So 13 through 10 was the Eagles, Steelers, Titans, Seahawks?
Yes.
All right. So I think Steve hit the nail on the head with the Titans. I think they got better in the offseason. Not a true believer in Tannehill, but I think Christian Fulton's going to fit in that secondary well with Adoree Jackson and all the other guys they got because I think they lost Logan Ryan in the offseason too.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to – you know what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball at Derrick Henry and then run play action with Tannehill. So, if people can stop it, they might not be as good. And if you can't stop it, they're going to, keep winning games. And then the Seahawks, they never draft, according to how people think they should draft, but they always, are consistently winning games. I think they need to re-sign Clowney. No matter how much money he wants, I think they need to bring him back. But, we'll see with them too.
Yeah, I had them higher up. I had them at 6 just because Russell Wilson, had it not been for Lamar Jackson last year, Russell Wilson's probably the MVP. They just win games. They went deeper into the playoffs. Close game with the Packers. I think they've got some great wideouts there, especially with DK developing. I just really like the team. I think Bobby Wagner, solid captain. They always play solid defense. If they can get Jay Clowney back, I think they can be a contender.
Yeah, Tanner, I had him at 7 too. I just think if you have Russell Wilson on your roster, you can't not be a top.
Finds a way to win games, yeah.
So it is what it is.
All right. We'll list same thing we did there, just 9 through 6. Kind of speed this up here. At 9 through 6 is Vikings, Cowboys, Bills, Packers, in that order. I'll talk about mine first. I had the Vikings. I know me and Gib had the Vikings a little higher than 9, so that's interesting. I just like Kirk Cousins. Obviously, is not a top 5 quarterback in some people's eyes, not top 10, but he played that second half of last year like an MVP. As much as you don't want to even think about those words with his name, but he played like an MVP. Dalvin Cook I'm pretty sure he was injured towards the end of last year. Or he missed some time during the year. Diggs is a very big loss, but like Justin Jefferson could come in and be that number 2 right away. And the Vikings defense will forever be solid. They're known for it. So yeah, I had him at 5 actually.
I had him at 5 too.
9 is bad. Then the Cowboys, Bills, Packers. I think that's a perfect like list right there. I know I had that a little different, but like those 4 teams I think are all going to be 10, 11 win teams and compete for the top of their division. So I mean, I think that's a good spot for all of them.
Tim, can you list them again? Or Tarky, go ahead. I'll let you go.
I was just saying, I know 2 people in here aren't going to like this. I had the Bills at 13.
So you're wrong, but go ahead. You can tell us why you're wrong, but explain.
How can you be a top 10 team in the NFL? You have Josh Allen at quarterback.
Because we win games. It's funny how that you asked that. Because we win games. He's a winning quarterback. Besides Lamar Jackson, last 2 years of starting winning quarterback, he has the most wins out of any quarterback in this draft. Good head coach, good defensive scheme.
Yep.
I don't know how you can make the argument, to be honest with you. I don't even know how you can make – that's just bias. That's Tarky, you make good points. You know football pretty well, but when you start using your bias against actual football, it's bad. You sound bad. You sound stupid.
Here's what I'll say.
13 is horrible. I cannot even believe you put that in there, dude.
Shit, Steve, you will never, and you can put this on. We can put money on it right now if you want. You will never make it past the first round if Josh Allen's your quarterback. Never.
Deal. How much you want on?
Never.
Deal. How much you want on? I will name a number, bro. You think Josh Allen will never make it past the first round? You do not know football. This is a top 3 defensive team. Jimmy fucking Garoppolo played worse than Josh Allen did at starting quarterback position last year in the regular season and led his team to the championship. And the 49ers are not that better of a defense than the Buffalo Bills. So you have to explain to me how Josh Allen will never get past the first round.
We had 5 losses and 4 of them were by 1 score. 2 of them were to the Patriots, who got way worse.
I think the Dolphins got better. Jets got better.
We freaking rape the Dolphins every time we play them.
You can't say the Jets
they're in the right
better
direction, but they're not going to be good next
You
year.
gotta stick to college football. I can't do it. I can't.
Tarky, you put the
Your
Jets
opinion
at
on
26.
quarterbacks
I don't know how you can say they
sound
get better.
fucking stupid. The Cardinals are not the 9th best team in the NFL because you like Kyler Murray. That's just not true. The Bills aren't worse than the fucking Cardinals because you don't like Josh Allen. That's never going to be true this season. I will put any money in the world.
People don't realize
we're going to win more football games than the Cardinals this season. Any money in the world. And the Bills have a tougher schedule.
You could very well win more football games than the Bills, but when it comes playoff time, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not.
people forget too, Josh Allen only threw 2 interceptions in his last 10 games of football. So he's improved. He's developing.
I might have to take a timeout.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll take a pause.
I'll cool thing.
Yeah. Give. You go ahead and speak.
Can you list off those teams, the 9 through 6, I think it was?
Vikings, Cowboys,
Okay.
Bills, Packers.
Okay, so I have the Bills, Cowboys, and Vikings all in that general area. Vikings at 5, Bills at 7, Cowboys at 6. I have the Packers at 12. I think they were a fraud 13-3 last year, as I've said before, and they did absolutely nothing to help them next year. And me and Tarky have talked about Jordan Love for a very long amount of time, but their first 2 picks in this year's draft are both going to be backups in the next year. And I think the Packers –
AJ Dillon was stupid, but what do you want him to do at 26?
I don't know.
A wide receiver. I don't know.
Someone that will help you win now and win now team.
They were in the NFC Championship and got stomped on. They needed a defensive lineman or a linebacker.
So who should they take?
So even though I think they were a fraud 13-3, and I don't think they have any business ever going back to the NFC Championship, while if this is their team again, they still went to the NFC Championship. They were still 1 game away from winning the Super Bowl. And if Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, you should be throwing – they haven't drafted a skill position player in the first round in the last 15 years since Rodgers has been their quarterback.
Yep.
You're not giving him any help. I see that as – if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I hate Aaron Rodgers, but I see that as clear disrespect. And I don't think Rodgers is going to be a good mentor. He doesn't even like his family, for crying out loud. Well, how's he going to – if he doesn't like his family, he's definitely not going to like Jordan Love. But this isn't about the draft. So I'm going to quit talking about it. I already think the Packers were, like I said, fraud 13-3. Didn't do anything to get better in the offseason. They lose Blake Martinez, who was a tackling machine for them in the middle of the defense.
Pretty sure he almost led
the
league in tackles,
I think the Smith brothers on the outside are good, but I don't think those 2 as a pass rushers. I don't think they're any better than Bud Dupree and TJ Watt are in Pittsburgh. I don't think they're any better than who the Bills have rushing down the outside. I think they're better than the Cowboys have on the outside. I think they're better than Aaron Donald by himself. I'd take over those 2 pass rushers, in my opinion. I don't like the Packers got so lucky that they were even in the NFC Championship game last year. And now they're not doing anything to try to push them over the top. I don't. And I think
other than Jair Alexander, their secondary is pretty inconsistent too.
But they're young. They're young. So you can give them a pass on that.
49ers and in the playoffs consistently. My only thing I want to add about the Vikings is that they lose Everson Griffin in the offseason. We haven't talked about that yet. The guy off the edge goes to the Cowboys. Good addition for them. That's a big sign. People don't realize that. The Vikings as a team, Dalvin Cook necessarily might not be coming back next year. They'll probably give him the money he wants. We're not sure yet. But right now, it looks like he might hold out for the offseason. So if he's not there, and Griffin's definitely not going to be there, they lose Diggs. Justin Jefferson can come in. I like the team. I don't love them, but we'll see how they do depending on who's in the roster.
But I'll talk about, because I don't think I'm going to talk about the Cowboys yet. The Cowboys lost a lot in free agency, but like Steve said, they got Everson Griffin. They had a kick-ass draft. Let's keep it real. They still have a loaded roster from last year, and they put up I think they had the best scoring offense in the NFL, but they just didn't win games. Like, I don't know how they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, this team on paper is a really good team. Just like the
yard for yard team in the NFL last year. Yeah.
But
Gerald McCoy and Clinton Dix too.
Yeah, I mean, those are all good signings. I mean, they have Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith, two super athletic linebackers. Sean Lee's old, but he still makes some plays.
I thought Sean Lee retired.
Oh, he retired? No, Travis
No, I
Frederick.
think he's still with them there.
Oh, I thought
Frederick retired, and then replaced him with that. Like I said in the drafting yesterday, the Cowboys are in a good spot, and I hate the Cowboys. I hate to say it. They're definitely a top 10 team. And then on the Bills, I mean, the Bills are the Bills. I wouldn't say that they're the 13th best team in the NFL, but I think they're a benefit, right? This year they're going to benefit from a division that is kind of in flux right now, with the Patriots not being the top dog anymore, and the Jets and Dolphins I think the Dolphins are rapidly climbing to become competitive with the Bills, and the Jets are definitely getting better. But the Bills are definitely going to win that division this year. I don't think it's close anymore after the Patriots draft. I mean, I don't think it's really much up for much discussion. But I don't think the Bills are Super Bowl contenders in the slightest, because I don't think their quarterback can beat Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So I think the Bills are in a tough spot. They're definitely not bad. They're not the Bills that are going to win 5 or 6
They're
games.
a playoff team.
They're a playoff team that doesn't – like, the Steelers aren't better than the Bills, but Big Ben can get hot in the playoffs and just out-throw against the Ravens or Chiefs, even as stupid as that might sound. I can see that happening. Same thing with, like, the Eagles and Carson Wentz can go to a playoff game, and if he's Wentz of the regular season in the playoffs, he can throw for 400 yards and beat a team. Same with Russell Wilson. Like, the Bills have a better overall team than the Seahawks, Steelers, Eagles, Packers, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, all these teams have, but all those other teams have that quarterback that Tom Brady can go in the playoffs and he can just light shit up. Big Ben can just light shit up. Josh Allen, I don't think he can do that even at his best. I don't think he can go and light a team up, which is why I don't think they'll ever be big time.
Gibby, that is what you call a good take. That's a fair take. What you just said was true. I'm going to be quick with this. Having the Bills at 13 means that you're probably a wild card team, or so. I can't.
Which is impossible, because Tarky still has them winning a division.
So you have them winning the division as the 13th best team in the NFL.
Well, no, but you can still do that. The Eagles won the division last year and probably the 14th best team in the NFL.
Probably, exactly.
Like that's fine.
Yeah, but 11-win team with the top 5 toughest schedule in the NFL is going to be the 13th best team in the NFL when the Cardinals won't even make the fucking playoffs and they're the 9th best team. That's a bad take. We need people that know football to talk football. You know college football, talk college football. You do not know NFL if you have the Cardinals at 9 and the Bills at 13. That's no bias. That's the truth.
Right now.
It's still about a year early to write Josh Allen off too. I think he had some poise in the Cowboys game, the Steelers game. He played well for about 4/5 of that Texans game in the playoffs. So I have faith as a fan that he can get there with the additions we gave him this year.
Yeah, but all I'm going to say about the playoffs, like, Bills, like, everyone knows the Bills should have beat the Texans. But again, the Texans have the quarterback. Like, that Josh Allen's far better than I thought he was ever going to be. Like, I'll say that right now. But you're not winning a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. Like, unless if somehow one year, like, Kansas City gets upset early by a team like Pittsburgh, and then the Bills beat Pittsburgh or Tennessee in, like, the AFC Championship, like, then you can make it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Here's my thing. You're not wrong. That's a very fair point, and I'd probably make the same argument. When you see teams that, like, Peyton Manning on an old Broncos team was not Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
A playmaker on a very good defensive team. Right now we have a playmaker that is young and makes mistakes, yes, on a very good defensive team that we can run the ball. The 49ers got there. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, wait.
They're doing that.
Well, Peyton Manning's like Tarky, wait 1 second, because we can't hear you when someone else is speaking, so everyone else is going to shut up after I speak, and we'll let you go. But when Peyton Manning got to the Broncos, he ended his career, like, winning that Super Bowl as a playmaker, but, Like when he first got there, he threw 55 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And
No, the Super Bowl he won, the year he
But
left off.
I
was
would say that the Broncos defense, the year they won the Super Bowl, is better than what the Bills defense is right now.
Yeah, they had Von Miller.
Yes, true but comparable. Yes.
Yeah, no,
fine.
it's comparable. It's definitely
Yeah.
comparable, but the
Yes.
Broncos had a better defense.
Wait, let Tarky go. Let
There
Tarky go.
wasn't a
Yeah,
Pat
go ahead.
Mahomes they had to get by.
Yeah,
Tarky,
that's
go.
There was an old Tom Brady that, had to go up against a good defense. And it's not like the Chiefs have some slapdick defense. I mean, their defense played great the second half of last year, too.
All right,
Go ahead.
Tarky. No, let Tarky go.
You're trying to compare like average quarterbacks. You can say average quarterbacks with a good defense, but Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, they're amazing because they take care of the football. They're accurate. That is the exact opposite of what Josh Allen does. Josh Allen couldn't hit the fucking backside of a barn.
That's why I threw less picks than Kyler
One
Murray.
of the least
That's
accurate
why I threw less picks than Kyler Murray.
He has had Kyler Murray's extremely accurate. If you
That's why I threw less picks than Kyler Murray. You're right. Keep going.
Less turnovers than him, yeah.
Let's turnovers.
The Cardinals throw the ball more, and their scheme calls for more turnovers.
I'm just saying. I know. I'm just saying.
All right, we're just gonna move on to 5 through 1, and after the podcast, we can obviously debate this out after. So we're just gonna move on to 5. At 5, like Gib was asking earlier, where are the Bucks? Here they are, and Steve put them at 4. Gib put them at 11. I put them at 10. I'm pretty sure Tanner put them at like 6 or something, right? Is that
Yeah, I
right?
had him at 7.
7. Tarky, did you put them at 6?
5.
So they're at 5.
I'll start. So obviously the Bucks I think they're obviously gonna make the playoffs this year. They're gonna compete with New Orleans for the division. I mean, their offense is obviously gonna be loaded with Brady, Godwin, Evans, OJ Howard, Gronk, Cameron Brate, Ronald Jones. I mean, they have a good old line that dressed that with Wirfs to even give him more protection. They have Ali Marpet, DeMar Dotson, Ryan Jensen. I mean, that's a good old line. Defense played great last year. They just they were affected by the turnovers Winston had. But at the same time, it's you're kind of almost getting that feeling you had with the Browns last year. Even though Brady's not Baker Mayfield, I'm not comparing them whatsoever. There's a lot of hype surrounding it. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe it doesn't work out. I think it will work out, but putting them top 5, I don't know if I can. I can't hop on that train yet. I gotta see them all play together too. But I'm a big believer in Tampa Bay. I mean, at 11, I have them at 11. They can easily win the Super Bowl if everything goes, as they want it to go. They can easily win the Super Bowl. I'll seed that right now. But I think having them at 5 preseason is a little tough.
They have the ability. That's the thing I'm saying. Like my teams I have in the top 4 here are teams that I think could win the Super Bowl. And according to that, I think like you said, the Bucks could. They have a good run defense. They're an overall playmaking team. Tons of weapons for Brady now. Not a bad O-line. This is like the perfect situation for Brady to show, like he's got a chip on his shoulder. It's kind of like a comparison I make is that LeBron going into this season after missing the playoffs last season, being hurt, he comes back with a chip on his shoulder, completely goes off. He's the most dominant player in his sport, and he's probably the go to the sport. Similar comparison. Tom Brady, go to his sport, coming in late in his career, coming into a situation that suits him better than the one on the Patriots. Good defense, a lot of weapons, good O-line, gets Spike Gronk back. I don't know. I think this could be a hot take, but I think this is an 11+ win team in my eyes right now. That's just the way I look at it.
I think it just depends. I think once they match up to the Saints, I think that's going to show, who really is the best team. Because I think Tampa Bay has like you look at the roster. I mean, the Saints defense is okay, but Tampa Bay just has young playmakers just all over the place that are ready to take that next step. But because the Saints are established, I'll ride the train a little bit with this one. I'll put the Saints higher than the Bucks at 4. That's right. I have the Saints at 4.
I had Saints at 4, Bucks at 5 because of what you said that the Saints are established.
Yeah.
But the Bucks are right there. They're knocking on the door. You don't.
I know.
Especially he has everything he could want right now, and he's ready to make a stay. I think they're gonna be.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, Steve, that he has the chip on his shoulder and he's trying to disprove Belichick. He can do it without him. I just don't know if he can at his age. I believe that he can, and he has the weapons to do it. It's just going to be like, we'll just have to see.
All right, let's move on. 4 through 1. Only one person had a different team at 1 than we all did. At 4 was the Saints, 3 was the Ravens, 2 was the Niners, 1 was the Chiefs. The only person who did not put the Chiefs number 1 was Tarky, who put the Ravens as the best team in the NFL. I think Steve walked out of his. Go ahead, Tarky. Sorry, explain.
Go ahead. They have by far and away the best roster in the NFL.
I mean, you can't even say that. I think Kansas City's roster is far better than Baltimore's roster is.
No, it's not.
Are you?
Tell me why.
So Kansas City. So all right. So defensively, Baltimore has more.
The Kansas City has the better quarterback.
Wait, no, Tim, hold on. Let me. So I'll give. Baltimore has bigger names on defense, right? They signed Clay, or they trade for Campbell, Earl Thomas, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey. They draft Patrick McQueen, who's going to be a stud. Who else do they have? I don't even know who else they have. They have a lot of what?
Judon.
Judon. All right. They have a lot of big. They have a lot of big names, dude. But Kansas City's defense at the end of last year was absolutely locking the fuck out of everyone down. And this, I mean, it was.
Defense played great all year.
They got absolutely exposed in the playoffs.
The Texans.
By the run game, yeah.
I mean,
and Marcus Peters is a huge. I think Marcus Peters blows. I don't think he's a good corner.
He's overrated.
I think he's overrated.
Him and Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey gets burned about every time I watch him play.
Humphrey's way better than him. But the Ravens off. I mean, Kansas City's offense. Obviously, the Ravens have a better run offense, and they run the ball more. And their offenses are like almost polar opposites of each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like Pat Mahomes is better than Lamar Jackson. I mean, you've even said that.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, of course he is.
And a backfield of Damian Williams and now Clyde Edwards-Helaire perfectly fits what Kansas City wants to do. Like, and it's not even close. Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, Travis Kelce, fucking Mecole Hardman. It's a way better wide receiving and tight end core than fucking Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown, Miles Boykin, Willie Snead, and some other guy. Like,
right, Steve, let us know why you walked out of the room here.
Tarky, can I make your main points real quick so we can be fair on why the Ravens are the best? Just really summarize them.
Because, I mean, just look at the roster.
And then on defense,
the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl, or even that they're Super Bowl favorites. I'm just looking at it. They have
but even if you look at it on paper, I don't even see
the best roster in the league. Power rankings wise, since we're doing this, it's a ranking on paper. On paper,
I don't agree with that still. Like Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, Kendall Fuller. That Willie Gay guy from Mississippi State is an abs. I watch his highlights too. He is a stud. He's a stud. He's a stud.
I don't think the Ravens are that much better of a defensive team. I don't
think they are either. I think that's a crock of shit that people think they're some great defensive team.
The Chiefs healthy are miles better offensive team than the Ravens. The Ravens expose that. When Lamar Jackson's forced to pass the ball when they're down, they cannot win games. That was shown last year.
Chiefs can score 50 points and a half.
Go ahead.
I mean, the Chiefs are losing to the Texans 24-0 in the second quarter, and by the end of the second quarter, they were winning.
35-20.
I don't know how they're not the best team in the NFL right now.
And they won the Super Bowl. Like, I understand these are power rankings and it's on paper. What's on paper? Then the Browns should be like the 6th best team in the NFL.
Power rankings. Then how? I'm sorry. I keep being I keep saying this, but if these are power rankings, then you have the Cardinals is the 9th best NFL roster in the league. Not just like the team, like the player for player. They're the 9th best roster in the league. Is that what
you're almost contradicting yourself with having the Cardinals at 9 and the Ravens at 1, saying I'm looking at this on paper.
Yeah, I just kind of realized that. I don't know. I just like the Ravens. They have the best talent. They have the best roster in the league.
The best talent.
They don't. They literally do not have the best.
They have the best roster in the league.
How? Like how?
Why would you have teams like the Cowboys at like 3?
The Cowboys have a better roster than the Ravens do. Are you Prescott, Zeke, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, top 2 line, DeMarcus Lawrence, Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith.
The Ravens don't need wide receivers. That's not what they're trying to do.
I understand.
How did that work out for them?
But how'd that work out for them in the playoffs the last 2 years when they started to lose?
Playoffs.
They can run the ball, but every team that can run the ball really well can also do a play action. Like the Titans even did a little bit of play action pass, and they're such a run dominant team. Same thing with the Niners. When Jimmy G needed them, he made some plays in the playoffs. The Ravens just didn't do that at all. Lamar Jackson can move the ball, but he turned it over.
Lamar Jackson was great. He was great, but he didn't do anything to like win a game. like they were already winning games, and he was just there doing his thing.
And
when he
people
needed
started to
to-
figure
Like
him out
Jimmy
towards the end of the year.
Garoppolo won that game against the Saints for the 49ers. Him and George Kittle won that game for the 49ers.
Mhm.
Like Lamar Jackson I don't think he's ever led a team, maybe once when they beat the 49ers this year. I think he led them on a game-winning drive, but he doesn't do that. Like that's not his. Like that never happens.
There yet. He's not even close to there yet as a passer. I'm not arguing with that. Pat Mahomes is light years ahead of Lamar Jackson. I'm saying overall, as a roster, from top to bottom, the Ravens have a better roster than the Chiefs.
I still don't agree with that.
Is it?
But when it comes to playoff time, I know the value of the quarterback position, and yes, I think in a playoff matchup, the Chiefs would beat the Ravens. So
Okay, so this is power rankings.
I'll take the Ravens out of number one on my thing because by the logic that I've said earlier, it doesn't make sense to have the Ravens at number one now that I look at it. But the reason I put them at number one originally when I was just putting the list together is because top to bottom, I think they have the best roster.
But again, I don't even agree with that. The Chiefs have a better offense on paper, I think, to begin with. And then defensively, the Ravens have a lot of old veterans that are big names like Calais Campbell and Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas played well, but he was blitzing a lot last year. He wasn't playing deep free safety like he was last year. I think he recorded his first NFL sack last year with the Ravens and had like 3 or 4 of them. He's not – and like the Ravens – I'm a Steelers fan, so I have all the bias against the Ravens, and I hate the Ravens. But watching them play, like we almost beat them with Duck Hodges coming in a game after Mason Rudolph got knocked out. We would have won that game if Mason Rudolph played the whole game. We would have won that game if Juju didn't fumble the ball.
Okay, and I could say the Colts put up 10 points against – I mean, the Chiefs put up 10 points against the Colts and lost 19-10. I mean, everyone has – if you can't make a one-game because you.
I mean, I agree with that, but I mean,
Duck Hodges is so much different than whoever the Colts had. But
All right, here's my thing. The Chiefs, as a team, top to bottom, if we even go on paper, I'm going to disagree. While the Ravens, you could make the argument, maybe, you could make the argument top to bottom, player for player is the best team. But when a team like the Chiefs has a good defense, they just got exposed at points in the playoffs, and one of the most dominant offenses we've seen in years, player for player, I still think it's a better team because I don't think, like I said before, there's not a big gap between the Ravens defense and the Chiefs defense. And I think we can both agree the Chiefs have better offense.
easily.
That's just
All right, let's react to the NFL post-draft power rankings. They released this at 9 a.m. this morning, so it is with the same knowledge that we have. First 5 is Jags, Redskins, Lions, Panthers, Giants. Then they have Bengals, Dolphins, Bears, Cardinals at 24, and Chargers at 23.
9.
Yeah, I have them at 9. I have them.
Keep going.
I think the Bengals are a little high on that list. But.
Yeah, I think they are high too.
I agree with that.
I mean, it says like under them previous ranked 29. I guess that's before the draft, so they're saying they moved up 2 spots after the draft.
Not better. Wait.
It says the Cardinals used to be at 23. Apparently, they moved back after.
Yeah, for some reason, people don't like the Isaiah Simmons pick because they wanted him to take an offensive lineman. But they got a first-round offensive lineman in Josh Jones in the 3rd round, and they drafted, in my opinion, the best overall defensive player in the draft that can play anywhere and do anything he wants on the football field. So
this doesn't really make under the Cardinals. It says, of course, Simmons could turn into Darius Leonard crossed with Lawrence Taylor, and this blurb will be rendered as meaningless as all that Tyrod Taylor copy. I don't know what that means, but whatever.
I can't believe they just compared him to Lawrence Taylor and he hasn't even played a snap in the NFL, but keep going.
All right. At 22 through 18, Jets, Broncos, Raiders. So Gibb had Raiders at 20. They have Raiders at 20. Browns at 19. Falcons at 18. I think like fairly accurate with ours.
Same division.
I'm going to move my Raiders pick. I think Gibb convinced me. I think if anything, I'd probably have him around 25. I think that was a bad thing at 30. I'll agree to that.
I think they should move the Broncos up a little bit, but I understand them having them there.
Yeah, they had the Broncos at 25 previous to the draft, moved them up 4 spots after the.
So they're behind the Raiders in that power ranking.
Yeah, they're 1 spot behind the Raiders, which is interesting.
I don't know about that. I think the Broncos. All right, but we already talked about that.
I think I had the Broncos ahead of the Raiders in mine too, and I even was vouching for the Raiders.
Yeah. 17 through 13, Rams, Texans, Patriots, Eagles, Seahawks at 13.
I think teams aren't ready to. These writers aren't ready to write off the Patriots yet because they don't want to sound bad if the Patriots.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that too, Steve.
I think they're trying to play it safe and put them as a middle of the pack team. And
I think that's why I did too, because I don't think I can write them off yet either.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you don't want to sound bad if they go fuck around and win 10 games somehow. But at the same time, I don't necessarily agree with the Patriots that high. Seahawks at 13. The problem with Seahawks, if we're talking player for player roster, you could put them at 13. If that's the criteria. If you're talking about as a football team, Russell Wilson finds a way to win games, so they should be a top 10. It's kind of weird. It depends on what the criteria is.
They talk about Alton Robinson in this blurb. Hey. The Seahawks used to be at 7. They moved them down 6 spots after the draft. It's
because they still haven't signed Clowney, and the Seahawks draft weird. So
All right, 12 through 10, Buccaneers, Steelers, Vikings.
This is a pretty safe list. They're trying to say teams that were alike to what they had last year. Like, they're not ready to put the Buccaneers in the top 10, and I get why, but I think these writers are trying to play it safe. This is another Pats-like pick. They're picking teams that are going to be within 3 or 4 spots of what the predictions are.
9 through 7, Colts, Packers, Cowboys.
It's funny how they didn't say the Cardinals. Keep going.
I mean, on the Colts, I
like that.
The Colts always will get like the high reviews from like the people around the NFL because they run an organization like crystal clear cut how an organization should be run, and they draft well. They do everything well, but like, they took a huge regression last year, even though they didn't have Andrew Luck, and like now they got Phillip Rivers, so it's like.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a regression was
bound to happen.
Like, you're losing a top 5 quarterback in the league, still win 7 games. I don't know. 6 through 4, Bills, Titans, Saints.
Yeah, Titans are way too high.
I agree with that.
Tarky, do you think the Bills are a little too high?
In my opinion, but we already talked about that.
Yeah, we discussed it.
And then to finish it off, Ravens, Niners, Chiefs.
Oh, funny how the Ravens weren't number 1.
I mean, you can. I don't
think you can.
I think we're kind of agreeing in a sense, but like you're just kind of wrapped up in the fact that I have them at number 1. If you take the list aside, I think we agree on like.
Yeah. No, I think we do too, but they're not better than the Kansas City or San Francisco.
I don't think that they are. I don't know.
So here's
they're not better, and they don't have a player for player roster better.
So
what
here's
makes them 1.
Here's my thing. So the number 1 team is the team pretty much that you think is going to win the Super Bowl.
That's not how I took it. If you were to tell me to take a Super Bowl pick, I wouldn't pick the Ravens.
All right, well then I can understand where you're coming from, but you're still incorrect in stating that the Ravens have the best roster on paper, in my opinion.
I don't think they're best at any situation besides maybe. I don't know what they're the best. If you were to have any criteria for the best,
I think San Francisco has a better
defensive. The Ravens have the best run game.
Yeah, but barely. San Francisco can still pound the rock.
And they can pound the rock too. And they have. I think George Kittle's better than Mark Andrews.
Yep.
Who else do they fucking have?
I think the only like
any wide receiver on the Ravens.
I mean, if you're looking at it from Tarky's stance, the Chiefs, like, they beat the Ravens, but that was in Arrowhead, and then I'm pretty sure the Ravens beat the Niners in San Francisco.
No, it was in Baltimore.
It was in Baltimore. It was a rainy game.
Last second.
Well, then, I mean, but the Ravens still beat the Niners. But anyway,
the Chiefs beat the Niners in the biggest game of the year in the Super Bowl when the only game that really matters.
I think we're gonna end this one here. This was a very funny episode. A lot of screaming. There'll be a lot of clips. But thank you. We'll be back either tomorrow or Wednesday. Thank you, Tanner, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a good time.
And we'll see you guys.